Hi guys, I've been sent the rules for one of those rubber band powered car competition things. I should have a little go at it, but I'm not terribly worried about trying to get it to go 40 feet because I've got nowhere that's actually 40 feet as such to test. Let me think. I've got 5, 3, 8. I think I've got about 12 meters if we go from my conservatory through my kitchen and through my hallway to the front door. Well, if it's 12 meters, 12 threes, about 36 feet. Yeah, we're a bit short of doing 40 feet, so I'll just see how far we can get it to run normally. The main thing is it's got to carry a pound weight. Must carry a 1 pound load, and the load is actually a box of baking powder or something, which is 3.5 inches by 4.5 inches by 2 inches, and it mustn't be strapped to the car. You should be able to just put it on top, so there must be some sort of enclosure for it to sit in so it doesn't slide off. Other than that, no restriction on material, size, weight or number of wheels. One rubber band, size 64, which is 3.5 inches by 1/4 inch. Well, I haven't got any of them, so we'll just have to make do with what I've got, which is quite a bit smaller than that. You mustn't use a commercially available kit, but you can use commercially manufactured components. So you could buy your wheels, you could buy ball races, you could buy steel axles, you could go to the radio control sites and buy all sorts of bits like that if you really wanted to. I'm going to keep it simple. I've actually done heavier weights just with my cardboard cars and the CD wheels. I think I'll use some thin plywood for the bodywork because I happen to have some available, and also I've thrown out all our scrap cardboard. I had to do a car just the other day and I had a few little bits of cardboard left, but I'm not going to use them. I'll use a bit of plywood. I am going to use some CDs. These are ones you can actually, if you've got the right CD writer, you can actually write on this surface. But since I've upgraded to Windows 10, I don't think that writer actually works. Not that it matters, because I haven't written anything to CD or DVD for years now. We just don't do it anymore, do we? So I've got CDs. I haven't got any bottle tops to make the hubs, so I might have to cut some little bits of card or even the plywood and glue them either side to fill in the gap. I do have some ball races somewhere, but I can't get into my workroom because I filled it up when we cleared up before Christmas. So all sorts of reasons for not doing it professionally, I suppose is the word. So I'm just going to make a normal flat board for the body with some edges on it so that the box doesn't slide off, and just make up the wheels. I've got some metal rods here that I'll use for the axles, but I don't think I need to. As I say, I've done heavier loads with ordinary barbecue skewers, but I'll use these because I've got them. So we'll sort of get on with it. Right, this is the bit of plywood I've got. It's not good quality plywood, it's cheap stuff. It's used in furniture. In fact, I think this probably came from a cupboard or something, one of the panels, back panels. So it's got laminate surface, which is a light colour brown there, a darker colour brown there, and if you look at the edge you can see how thin they are, and then the rest of the wood goes across, looks like the grain goes that way, which makes sense. That looks like it's about 1/8 of an inch thick, I would guess, or 2.5 millimeters, maybe 3. So I'm going to cut that. We'll make it simple. We'll make it about 12 inches long. So 12 inches long. We don't want it to be that wide. I expect I'll probably make it about 6 inches wide. Plenty wide enough. And then I'll put some strips up either side of it to strengthen it, and also to hold the box in place, the weight. I'll stick the camera on a tripod up here so you're sort of looking over my shoulder. Using the edge of my cutting board, so I've got a straight edge, a right angle. Okay. So that's a nice right angle. To be honest, that one doesn't look like it's a nice right angle. We'll worry about that later. Right, 6 inches I said. So that's our basic car. Wheels either side. How big's this bit? It's about 2.5 inches. Have a look, see what else I've got. Bit of metal tubing there. That doesn't help, that's got a little bit of a bow in it. And so's that one. Just a tiny bit, but it means when you're putting it in a tube like that, where it bends in the middle, it's going to rub against the edges of the tube. So that's going to increase your friction. If you cut short lengths, then it's only going to be rubbing there and there, or there and there, and the fact it bows in the middle a little bit won't matter so much. So I might do that, I might cut some bits out of this and use that. Right, our box, 3.5 by 4.5 by 2. If I cut this into strips, I could just glue them on there to hold the box in place. In fact, it would have been better to have cut the strips first. This is why it would have been better to have cut the thin strips first, because then it would have held, it would have all stayed in place. Now I'm trying to cut like this. This one's sliding. Right, 3.5 by 4.5 by 2. Just mark our centre line. So allow us a bit of space so we can slop around a little bit. Yeah, that'll do. In fact, that's what we'll do right up to the end. Glue them on there. Could use wood glue, could use hot glue. I think I might try super glue. To be honest, that's not working very well. That's because there's a bit of a bow in the wood. And to flatten it. Yeah, I might end up hot gluing this, because the idea of using super glue is to make it quick, but this is taking ages. I think we're all right. Okay, that was harder work than it should have been. I'm just going to add these pieces on the bottom. I really don't need to, but I'm going to just for fact. I could use them to go across there, couldn't I? definitely over the top, doesn't need this at all. Beginning to get dark in here, isn't it? 3:30 on New Year's Day. Right, I will use this tubing for the axles to go through. I'll cut some short lengths of it with the hacksaw. There we are, 4 little axle tubes. I'll tidy them up a bit because they're a bit rough where I've sawn them. And then I'll glue them on the ends. And we'll cut out a little bit of a space there for the, I say rubber bands go round, in fact I'm going to use string, kite string. Well, it's getting dark enough to put the lights on now. Right, so that's our little area there for the load, 3.5 inches by 4.5 inches by 2 inches. So I've actually made it 4 3/4 and 3 5/8. So a little bit of space in there to put it in and out easily. And at one end we want to cut out a little bit of a space for the rubber band to go round. Don't need much space. A little bit of a gap at the end there. Okay, so I think we'll hot glue those in place. Be okay. Just had a little idea. A way of attaching the rubber band to the car. Glue those two bits on there, oh, light's not showing, there we are, those two bits on there, drill a hole through there and put a bit of barbecue skewer through there, a bit of bamboo skewer that will hold the rubber band. Right, so these bits on here. I might end up using bamboo skewers instead of these metal rods. You can probably see how much that one's bent now. Right, change of plan. These steel rods that I wanted to use for the axles, they're not a loose enough fit inside these metal tubes. So they look all right, but I get a better spin just with the ordinary bamboo skewers, barbecue skewers. Because you want absolute minimum friction if you want to try and get a decent distance. And even with me cleaning the paint off these metal rods, they still weren't spinning as freely as I would want them to. I mean, they're nice and loose on there, but when you put pressure on them, when the rubber band's pulling against it, it just didn't feel as smooth as that does. So that's my good old-fashioned CD plastic bottle top and a bamboo skewer or barbecue skewer for the axle. So I'm going to do the same at this end for the front end. I just pinched that off of this one that I did in the previous rubber band powered car. This one, the guy wanted me to use a pencil for the axle, which, as you can see, is pretty hopeless. That slows down quite quickly. But for the other axle I used the bamboo skewer. So yeah, sorry about that, change of plan. We're going to go for simplicity and bamboo skewer for the axle, or bamboo cane. And if we're changing to bamboo canes, which are lighter as well, then I might as well use a plastic straw. I like plastic straws for this sort of purpose. They're very bad for the environment, but when you're making a car like this, you want minimum friction, and the plastic is very good for reducing friction. Let that cool down for a second, and then we'll wrap the hot glue all the way round to hold it in place. Okay, so I suppose we better make another set of wheels just so you can see how we do it. And that's cooled down enough for me to put it down. Right, so CD, plastic bottle top. There's various markings on the CD that help you judge the middle. But before we do that, we'll poke some holes in there. You can do it either before or after. See what I've got. Obviously you could use an electric drill. Some of the bottle tops have got a little dimple right in the middle so you know where the centre is. Right, so that one, like that. Make sure that one's going to fit. Okay, so bottle, top, hold it in place so that it lines up with the markings that are already on the CD. Make sure your hot glue gun's got plenty of hot glue. Put a little bit on just to hold it in place and let that cool down. Right, this is the important bit. When you put the other top on, or cap, or whatever you want to call it, bottle cap, put it on, and then you can align the CD, or the top, so that the CD is straight. So if it wobbles around, align it a bit more. When you're happy it looks right, then glue that one in place. Right, that one looks about right. We'll let that cool down and we'll do the other one. Right, so they look like they're pretty straight. So that's our front wheels, that's our back wheels. And if they don't spin as freely as that, then you need to check it and find out what it is that what's slowing them down, what friction is causing a problem. It could be the bodywork, it could be rubbing against the bodywork, so make sure you've got a bit of a gap. Or it could actually be the axles are rubbing too much inside the tubes, which is why I've changed from them, which were just that bit too thick, to the bamboo skewers, which are just that bit thinner. Now, you may remember these two bits. I'm going to glue these here. Then put a bit of bamboo skewer through the holes that I drilled in them. And that's to hold our rubber band in place. So we're going to have rubber band, and then I'm going to use kite string to go from the rubber band to the back axle. And I'll also glue a little peg on the back axle for us to hook the rubber band onto. Let's see if super glue, super glue again. And we need a little bit of bamboo skewer. There we go. So a little bit of bamboo skewer. Good tight fit. That's so we can put a rubber band over it. Alright, we'll go for a green one then. So that's to attach our rubber band to the car, and then we need a bit of string on there to come back here. Because it's the string that we're going to wind round there, not the rubber band. I'm just going to cut the very tip off of this and then glue that onto the back of the axle there. It's a little hook to hook the rubber band onto, the string onto. Nearly there. So, back axle, front axle, little barbecue skewer there to hold the rubber band in place. I've glued that little point off of one of the barbecue skewers into the middle of the axle there. Can we see that? Yeah, we should be able to see that. Just to make it easy to attach the string. I've also beveled that surface just there, just rounded it off. So now we need a bit of string. Just tie a loop in it for now. Okay, and we actually need it to be just shorter than the distance from the end of the rubber band to the back axle, because it's got to drop off, it mustn't stay caught on. So we'll see how that looks. Right, to attach it to the rubber band, push it through the rubber band and then push the other end through that loop. So that's going to hold it in place. And that just hooks over there. And you can wind it up. And away we go. Only in fact you're going to want to do that the other way, because the car's going to be that way up. And then the other thing is I don't happen to have any of the standard box weight that they want to use, but I do have a tin of beans, and if we weigh the tin of beans, you won't be able to see this. I suppose I could zoom the camera in. Right, put that on there. 1 pound, 0.5 ounces. So 1.5 pounds an ounce is the weight of that. So that's the weight we want. It was supposed to be a pound weight. So that's going to sit on there and we'll see how far it goes. Right, we'll give it a try. Remember, this is nothing like a size 64 rubber band. At best it's half the size width wise, so probably about half the power. Put that on there, wind it up. There's the rubber band. Put that on there, point it in the right general direction. We're going. Not going very fast. Picking up speed a bit. And slowing down again. Okay, well, distance wise, kitchen is, trying to remember now, 1, 2, 3, kitchen is 5 metres and conservatory is 3 metres, but we didn't start at the back of the conservatory and we haven't got to yet. I would guess we did about 5 metres there. Or 5 times 3, 15 feet. Not very impressive, not what I was hoping for. Right, to try and improve things, to reduce the friction here, I've used a pencil to actually rub. I've moved the wheels out of the way so we can move the axle. I've rubbed pencil graphite on the axle to try and give us a bit of lubrication. I've also trimmed the edge of the bodywork there so it doesn't rub against the wheel. So we'll try that again, see if we can get any further. I will say again, this is only half the size of the rubber band that you would expect to be using. So, off we go again. Oh, that's improved, hasn't it? Yes. Well, I did move back a bit further, so we nearly went all the way back to the beginning there. So I reckon we probably did 8 meters. Best part of anyway. 8 threes, 24 feet, so that was an improvement. I doubt whether we'll get all the way there. What I could do is we could go out there and point this way. Right, the chances of actually getting this accurate enough to go through the gap is pretty slim. I think we're going too far to the right. Oh, that's going to be so close, that's going to be really annoying. Right, we'll have another go. Right, 2 rubber bands this time, so probably the equivalent to a size 64. That one there. Okay. Because it's stronger, it's going to be bending the back axle. Okay. Wait. Try and line it up. Over the bump. We didn't quite make it. But I didn't wind it up quite so far because it had more tension on it. Alright, one more try. Right, I've wound it up a bit further. So the back axle is quite bent at the moment under tension. Okay. Now I've got it sent off to the right a bit this time. So hit that chair. Success. So we've done, what did I reckon it was? 5 meters plus 3 meters plus 3. 8, 9, 10, 11 meters. 33 feet. And the actual task was to try and do 40 feet. I think that's as good as I'm going to get. So just a reminder, putting graphite on the back axle to lubricate the bearing helped. And we're now running it on 2 rubber bands, but they're small rubber bands, so I think that's roughly the equivalent of your size 64. They're not proper rubber ones either, they're silicone, I think, because they're cheap. That's as good as we're going to get, I think. Just out of interest, I will measure it. So that's 750 centimetres or 7.5 metres to that point. Right, so we were 750. And 470. So 7 and 4 is 11. and 50 and 70 is 120, so that's 12 meters 20, but we didn't actually start right at the back. So yeah, we did about 12 meters, 12 threes, about 36 feet, a little bit more than 36 feet. So on the way to doing the 40 feet target, but I can't really go any further. I certainly don't have a nice smooth floor to do it on anywhere else. So that'll do. Well, there you go. You made it all the way to the end of another one of my videos. If you want more information, there'll be stuff down there in the video description. If you actually liked that video, you might find this one up here interesting too. And if you like both of them, you might want to subscribe over here. Thanks very much for watching. It's much appreciated.